All right, you're going to want to hear this. Just a few days ago, something huge went down in Harare, Zimbabwe, that frankly, nobody saw coming. We're talking about a deal signed by Africa's richest man that is about to completely redraw the economic map of southern Africa. And more than that, it reveals this powerful new way Africa is starting to solve its own problems. So let's put this in perspective. If you were to ask a big Western company or maybe a Chinese state-owned firm to build the kind of massive infrastructure we're talking about here, pipelines, power plants, the whole shebang, you'd be looking at a price tag somewhere in this neighborhood, $15 billion. That's just the standard accepted cost for a project this massive. But that's not the number on the contract. Africa's richest man, Aliko Dangote, he walked in and put just $1 billion on the table to get the exact same result. I mean, look at those two numbers. It's the same project, but the cost is just a fraction of what everyone thought it would be. It just doesn't seem to add up, right? So yeah, how on earth is that possible? How can one person build something for a tiny fraction of what the world's biggest players would charge? Well, that is the central mystery we're going to solve in this explainer. And let me tell you, the answer is a blueprint that could change development for the entire continent. First things first, to really get this deal, you have to understand the sheer desperation behind it. You see, for years now, Zimbabwe has been stuck in this severe, crippling energy crisis. And those are the exact conditions that make a radical solution not just possible, but necessary. Just try to imagine this for a second. Running a business, a hospital, or even just your own home with power cuts that last for 18 hours every single day. We're talking factories shutting down mid-production, food spoiling in fridges, the basic rhythm of modern life just grinding to a halt. That's the daily reality for millions in Zimbabwe. And the root of the problem? It's water, or really a lack of it. This right here is the Kariba Dam, the nation's main power source. Well, its water level recently plunged to a critically low 9% capacity. When the water disappears, so does the electricity. It's that simple and that terrifying. Now, this isn't just some inconvenience. It is an absolute economic catastrophe. The World Bank crunched the numbers, and they estimate these blackouts cost Zimbabwe 6.1% of its entire GDP every single year. That is billions of dollars in lost productivity, in businesses that have to close, in dreams that just get shattered. And if the power crisis wasn't enough, there is a geographic one too. Zimbabwe is landlocked. That means every single drop of fuel has to be trucked hundreds of kilometers overland through other countries. It's expensive, and it makes their entire supply chain incredibly vulnerable. You know, most investors see a problem like that and they run for the hills. But Dangote, he saw an opportunity. So how did he do it? How did he look at these massive problems and cook up a billion-dollar deal? Well, the secret wasn't actually invented in Zimbabwe. No, it was perfected thousands of kilometers away in his home country of Nigeria. Meet the Dangote refinery in Lagos. It's an absolute mega project, and it's on track to be the largest of its kind anywhere in the world. But you know what? The most revolutionary thing about this refinery isn't its size, it's how it was built. See, when Dangote first planned this refinery, he did what everyone does. He followed the standard playbook. He asked Western and Chinese firms for quotes, and they came back with these impossibly high numbers, just layered with fees, markups, and all these demands for a stake in the project. That was the old model: expensive foreign contractors, foreign labor, and all the profits flowing right out of Africa. Dangote's response was just radical. He basically said, fine, we'll build it ourselves. He completely bypassed the foreign giants, sidestepping all their inflated bids and their complex contracts. By using African engineers, local contractors, and regional supply chains, he slashed costs dramatically. And that was the breakthrough. He proved that an African-led team could build world-class infrastructure for a fraction of the global price. So, armed with this new incredibly cost-effective way of building, Dangote went back to Zimbabwe. He looked at its biggest weakness, the fact that it's landlocked, and he came up with this brilliant plan to turn it into a strategic strength. The plan is a 2,000-kilometer pipeline. It's going to start at a deep-water port in Walvis Bay, Namibia, where he's building these massive storage facilities. From there, it cuts east, right across Botswana, and ends in Bulawayo, which is Zimbabwe's industrial heartland. And here's the genius part. This pipeline doesn't just solve their fuel import problem, it completely flips the script. In one move, Zimbabwe goes from being a landlocked, isolated nation to a land-linked regional energy hub. It becomes the critical artery for fuel flowing right into the heart of southern Africa. And get this, the pipeline won't just serve Zimbabwe. It's actually designed to create a whole new regional market. Botswana gets transit fees for the pipeline crossing its territory. Zambia and Malawi suddenly get a new reliable source of fuel. Dangote isn't just building a pipeline. He's creating a captive market of millions of people, locking in demand for products from his very own refinery. It's brilliant. But this story is so much bigger than just one pipeline or one country. What we're looking at here is a new playbook for African development, and it has massive implications for the entire continent. I mean, just think about it. How many other landlocked, energy-starved countries are there in Africa? You've got Chad, Mali, Uganda, Rwanda. The list just goes on and on. This model, connecting a coastal refinery to inland nations, is a replicable template. It could literally solve energy poverty across half the continent. For decades, African nations have basically had two main choices when it came to big infrastructure projects: go with the West or go with China. But now, this deal introduces a third way, an African-led model using African expertise at African prices and with no political strings attached. That is a fundamental shift in the continent's power dynamics. Of course, it's not a perfect fairy tale. There are real risks here. Some analysts are worried this could create a regional energy monopoly. I mean, once Zimbabwe is totally dependent on this one pipeline, what's to stop Dangote from jacking up prices? And there are political questions too. It was pretty noticeable that both of Zimbabwe's vice presidents were absent from the deal's signing, which definitely hints at some internal tensions. So, all this brings us to the ultimate question for Zimbabwe. The country is really standing at a crossroads. Is this deal going to lead to a new kind of dependency, or will it finally be the key that unlocks the nation's true potential? The potential upside is just enormous. Cheaper fuel and stable power mean factories can finally run 24/7, mines can operate efficiently, and the government can save billions that it used to spend on imports. This could trigger a wave of new investment, maybe even turn Zimbabwe into a manufacturing hub that adds value to its own incredible resources. You know, there's an old African proverb that says, rain doesn't just fall on one roof alone. And this deal, well, it's bringing a massive storm of opportunity to Zimbabwe. The investment, the infrastructure, the energy, it is all coming down. But that leaves us with one final, crucial question. Can Zimbabwe manage to harness all this rain? Can they use it as irrigation to carefully cultivate sustainable long-term growth? Or will they just get overwhelmed by it, swapping one kind of dependency for another, and letting this incredible opportunity become a flood that washes away their control? The pipeline, that's just the beginning. What they build from it, that will be the real story.